What's up, XFF? Week 2. We are ready to roll. I am Adam with the Chicago Bears, here with my two co-hosts. I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hey, I'm the senior flick, uh, Brian, of the Detroit Lions.
Great. And I'm Sean with the 0-2 Ravens. We got a big game coming up this week, but hope you all enjoy the show.
Yeah, let's dive right in. This is the Flick and MacHugh. How do you say your last name, Sean? MacHugh?
Yeah, MacHugh, that's right. Yeah, it's really two
All
words.
right. And yeah, I want to apologize to Sean. Last week he kind of flew solo. Us Flicks had our annual get together. We were trying to pack up, head back home. So we kind of didn't mean to leave you hanging. I had phone problems. Got a new phone today, so we're back. We're ready to roll.
Awesome. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. I know we did 45 minutes. I think we definitely got a full hour today, so it should be fun.
All right. Let's start off with our first topic and last week's results. It's been much talked about on the chat. A couple shows have talked about it, but I really want to get into this. Some big ramifications, I guess you would say, because they were all division games. So, Cowboys starting out 2-0, the Lions starting out 2-0, some surprising teams in the Bucks. Let's dive in on some, both NFC and AFC, some surprises, and really, if teams don't win today, what we're looking at here, these 0-3 teams. So.
Yeah, I have to. My matchup today is against the Vikings, who are also 2-0 in the NFC North. And I've got to admit, I've been surprised by their team. I had them as a lower half team in the NFC, and they really surprised me. And I think I've got my hands full today with that team.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I'd say the same for my matchup with Pittsburgh. They were 1-1, I believe, in the first week, and it's definitely going to be close. I'm still waiting for some of my defensive players to come around. I did add a few defensive players that are going to be starting for me today, plus one that I had sitting on the bench last week. So, I have high hopes, but certainly trying to get to that magic 300, see if I can win this week.
Yeah, I'm taking on the Bears. I'm 0-2. I'm taking on the Packers. I am 0-2. Packers are also 0-2, so somebody's going to be 0-3.
Yep.
I went in and tried to kill free agency. Didn't get all the guys I wanted, obviously, because of the waiver priority, which is different from last year versus the blind bid. So that kind of threw things off a little.
Yeah, who was your top guy on the waivers?
The Houston linebacker. What was his name?
Simon?
Simon. Simon was my number one.
Okay.
So I'm thinking he's going to fill in for 6 weeks. Just a plug and play kind of thing.
Well, what I noticed about him, just kind of throw out Simon, is he played 89% of the snaps last week, and he wasn't really in there for Cushing, as far as I could tell. They actually had another guy in there for Cushing that people were kind of talking about, at least on the IDP stuff. So I'm kind of curious to see. Simon, I'm guessing he might get 100% this week or something close to that. So he might be around a little bit longer. We'll see. I had him a little bit lower. I think I had Nelson as my number one. And there's a couple of guys that did really well last week. One of them was just there because week one, Sheldon Richardson was suspended, who we'll talk about a little bit later. But he was kind of a one-hit wonder. But at some point, he can get some time when we come back. But I do like the way I kind of like the waivers now, because then we're not throwing out like $3 million to get a particular player. We're kind of, the worst teams are getting it. So it's not too bad. It was good for me, at least being 0-2. I'm sure for you felt the same way. It was nice to have it this way than the other way.
Did you pick up anybody off waivers there, Dad?
Yeah, I got Vincent Valentine, a defensive end or defensive tackle, which I've got Aaron Donald, who will I'll probably start all but the bye week unless he gets hurt. But I wanted to get that back up just in case. And I also got off waivers the tight end Jack Doyle. I'm pretty solid at tight end, so I don't know how much I'll use him, but I wanted to keep others from getting him too.
Yeah, and just in case too. I mean, he caught 2 touchdowns. You never know, but that could turn into something later, especially if he's he's obviously their second tight end. So
yeah, I have a feeling Luck's going to throw quite a bit to the tight end this year.
Yeah, exactly. And Valentine, I like that one too. That was one I was looking at. He's a rookie, so you can put him on taxi squad if that's what you want to do, and just kind of wait it out. So I think that was kind of that was definitely a guy I was looking at as well. I didn't get him, but
Yeah, and the main reason, I don't know if you looked back on last year, the main reason I think Commish put this new rule into effect several times last year, we had guys bid too much. They put too many zeros on, and it just screwed things up totally. I think somebody bid like $30 billion for Spencer Ware.
It would have been worth it this year. And he was the third. Like if I remember, it was Jacandrick West, and then he got hurt. So then it was Spencer Ware. So it was like.
And there's so much money to go around because everybody was on IR, so everybody had 30, 40, $50 million.
Oh yeah. You got Charles, you put him on IR, and then you're as much as you want.
So let's look back at week 1. What is your biggest surprise of week 1 there, Sean?
For me, really, it was my defense. I mean, okay, I'm not going to sit here and say that the strength of my team was my defense, but I had guys like Coleman and even Graham, and he didn't he scored like 7.5 points even on Thursday. He's like a top 5 safety from everything I can see, and he did obviously he was really good last year. Just getting 5 points in week 1 or 5.5, whatever it was. I mean, some of the defensive players I had out there, I'm just like, what is going on? I just needed 12 points, 10, at least double digits, and it would have put me in the game. So that was rough. I would say on the other side, I wasn't necessarily shocked by Freeman, maybe splitting touches with Tevis Coleman, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully against I'm starting him. I'm not starting Coleman today, so on the offensive side. So we'll see what happens. But that's definitely something. My biggest thing I'm focusing on right now is trying to figure that split out.
Okay. What about you there, Ed?
As far as Tevin Coleman, I've got him on my team too, and I'm going with the 3 running back set this week. So my wide receivers are kind of middle of the road outside of DeAndre Hopkins. I'm hoping that Coleman gets a majority, or at least a decent split of the carries. And I know he's going to be there in the passing game, probably get, somewhere around 5 to 7 points off of receptions. So, yeah.
And you got Martin in there, I'm assuming, and Murray.
Yeah, exactly.
And so no Riddick this week?
I'm not a believer yet.
Okay. Well, last year, he had, obviously, you never know how the game goes. Certainly, if they get down, he's going to be in there more. But yeah, no, I hear you.
Yeah, I'm looking back at just the week 1 schedule, and the biggest surprise game-wise, points-wise for me, maybe outside of the Minnesota Vikings, who really had carry that team. Same thing with the New York Giants. I thought they would be 0-2. They're 2-0. Andrew Luck carried that team. And what about the Cleveland Browns? They're sitting at 2-0, aren't they? They beat your Baltimore Ravens and Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they got, I think a lot of people were talking about RG3 didn't have a good game. From fantasy perspective, it was a dang solid game for him. I guess it wasn't that great. It was like 18 points, but yeah, he had a lot of big stuff going on. He has Spencer Ware like you do. Ryan Matthews had a 25-plus point game. I think he actually was sitting Melvin Gordon, if I recall, but, he had a couple of touchdowns. His defense was pretty awesome. Joe McCoy, like 18 points. Mason Foster, 25-plus. And so he really beat me on the defensive side, and just, kept coming. And I think and the funny thing is I was playing the Browns and I was playing the Bengals. And as it's kind of going on, I'm like, okay, maybe I won't beat the Browns. I have a chance against the Bengals. Well, as I kind of started to watch the Bengals a little more, they had they kept coming. They kept coming, and they actually scored more points. So it was more points than the Browns even did. So it was it was definitely a tough road. But the Browns also had D'Angelo Williams, and so he got some points there at the end too on Monday Night Football. So yeah, it was rough sledding for me. And there's some guys that obviously are maybe long term aren't going to be playing as much, like Ware and Williams that he had. But he had other players on the bench that could have beaten me as well. So it was rough. It was definitely rough.
Yeah, I want to throw out there too. Another one of my surprises in NFC was the Arizona Cardinals. He's got Matt Forte, who's obviously performing really well right now. One of the top pickups during free agency. A guy that I don't think is going to continue to produce like he did the first game, Brandon Cooks. If he does, Cardinals will continue to be very good because they don't really have much else wide receiver wise. And on their defensive side of the ball, linebackers scored pretty well, and also they had a safety scoring 22 points. So be interesting to see how they do, but I was definitely surprised. I had them pegged as a fringe playoff team. And right now they're sitting at number 3 in the power rankings. So, and I agree with that.
Very good. Hey, Adam, real quick. We kind of talked a little bit about your roster. And thinking about Spencer Ware, I was going to ask you a question this week, but of course, as far as I can tell, it looks like Charles isn't going to play until next week at the earliest. So we can have a conversation about who you're going to start next week. But it looks like you're free and clear on the Ware side, unless you've heard anything else.
Alrighty. And I am gonna start Ware. But let me touch on that Cardinals thing here real quick.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think actually in the preseason I had the Cardinals ranked number 4th, very close behind Rams, Dallas, and 49ers. Cardinals were right there. So those 3 NFC West teams were all in the top 4, point-wise, season-ending point-wise for me. But I'm a believer in, you reap what you sow. Mac doesn't spend a lot of time on here, it seems like. Constantly getting penalties that hurt his team. While he has a hell of a team, he has a shitload of cap left. He's going to be in the playoffs, but what is it going to turn into if he's not putting the time in? I guess that's my only thing with that Cardinals team.
No, I hear you. I mean, my hunch. I mean, I'm looking at his team, and I mean, he's got 3 quarterbacks. I mean, he's got quarterbacks for that are playing well now, and it will be for like probably 10 years plus. He's got a lot of depth at running back. That's definitely a solid team. My hunch is that, his team plays well. He's going to get more and more, involved. Might need some defensive players a bit here and there, some depth there. But yeah, he's, if he gets on a little bit harder, my guess is like you start winning more and more, and you're going to be in here trying to make sure any loose ends you've got are covered. But we'll see. But I hear you. You definitely got to be active in here if you want to win.
Yeah, I agree. It takes some work. He and I were trying to settle on a trade before the season started, and he just wasn't on here enough. So the trade just went past the expiration. And then last week he tried to get it again, and it was for Frank Clark, who performed pretty well. So it's going to cost him a little bit more to get him now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, what about that? Did you see that trade where Arizona sent Telvin Smith to Carolina, I believe? What did he get in exchange? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't
Got a
remember.
got a defensive end. Let me see.
Keep talking. I'll find it.
Yeah. All right. Hey, let's move on to our second topic, or we're gonna run out of time here. And it kind of stems off the first topic. Let's go with key matchups this week. Who really needs to avoid 0-3? And the ramifications of going 0-3, I guess, with the doubleheader coming up next week.
Well, not to throw Sean under the bus, but I really think he can't afford to go 0-3. I don't know if you heard one of my power rankings really early on, but I thought you were the third best team in the AFC, and I still believe that. So to go 0-3, you could still recover, but it definitely puts yourself in a hole there. On the NFC side, again, the Bears. I think in order to
Fuck you.
hey, it's actually a compliment because I think your team's good enough to make the playoffs. So don't go 0-3, especially against you. Play Packers, right? I mean, you can't.
Yeah, I do.
You can't lose that team.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, you look at all the 0-2 teams, and it's the ones that look strong and had a rough first week, or maybe went up against some teams that had some really real big games from some players. I mean, those are the teams certainly, and yeah, I'm definitely in there. Chicago's definitely in there. Feel like we've got to win. I think I have a little bit of a chance to. I mean, I still think I could come back if I'm 0-3 to make the playoffs, but it's not going to be an easy road for sure. And there's going to be weeks where you're going to have players that just don't play well, and you're going to lose by a little bit. And you just you've got to win because those bad days are coming as well. So. It's this is definitely a big week for us 0-2 guys.
I think Dustin joined us. You want to bring him on?
Oh yeah, here we go. Vince. Okay, hold on. Let me get to Dustin. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. No video today?
I mean, I can do the video. I just kind of turned the camera off and muted myself just to listen.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, you don't have to show yourself. I was just curious where you were. Are you going to the game today?
No, the Ravens are on the road. They're in
Cleveland
today,
okay.
So
that makes sense. Cool. Yeah, it looked like a good game last week.
Dustin, hey, this is Chicago Adam here. Hey, you want to elaborate on that trade that you acquired Telvin Smith from the Cardinals?
Yeah, that was with Vernon Olivier.
Yeah, man. How did you pull that one off?
We were actually going back and forth. He was sending me offers for Vernon, and he was trying to send me another linebacker, a guy for let's say Minnesota, and all of a sudden I got the offer straight up for him for Telvin Smith, and I was like, did Telvin get hurt? I'm like really nervous because I wanted to accept in like 2 seconds. But I'm like, let me check salaries, let me check contracts, let me make sure there's no injuries. And I did my due diligence on the back end and said, okay, I accept. So it's nothing I even offered. It was kind of out of the blue.
And I think that's a major screw up on his part. I can't believe he offered that trade.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked. I was like, well, there's got to be something wrong with Telvin at this point. And I was like, did he get hurt in practice? What happened? But yeah,
I think Dustin touched on one of the important things here in the XFF. In doing your due diligence, you do have to check contracts. You do have to check injury reports, and that's to me a very interesting part of this league. And he made a good trade.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of talk about losing some time to the rookie out there, but Definitely an awesome trade. Love it. All the way around. So, nice work there.
Yeah, thank you. I think the contract's even a bargain too. So
Yeah, exactly. He's a young guy.
I think
He's not losing time
that's one
anytime
of the
soon.
reasons. Yeah, it's one of the reasons I made the move for Sammy Watkins early on in the year, just because his contract's so friendly. So if it doesn't pan out, it's not suspending my mobility at all. So
Exactly. I mean, you do that. There's so many. It gives you so much flexibility elsewhere. Not having that salary over your head for the next whatever year. So.
yeah, I guess I wanted to jump in and just talk about my matchup. You guys were kind of talking about the importance of big matchups this week, and
jump in.
Yeah, Carolina. Obviously, last week I went 1-1. I beat the Falcons, who are one of the lower, power ranked teams. The New Orleans Saints, who's really my biggest rival in the division, edged me out by 5 points. They had a linebacker for Washington put up 25 in Monday Night Football and kind of sank me. So that was kind of unexpected. I left a lot of points on the table. I scored 275. I think my optimum was like 330 or 340. So just played the wrong guys this past week. But going into this week, I have Tampa Bay, who ended up being 2-0. Again, they're one of the bottom half teams in the power rankings, and so I really need a big win. I think if I go down 1-2 here, I host Arizona next week. Then I travel to the 49ers the following week. Then Seattle comes to town. I have KC, and then I have Denver. So it's not an easy road for me at the beginning of the season. So really getting behind the 8 ball, falling to 1-2 this week against Tampa Bay would be a big hill to climb.
No, I hear you. That's I'm 0-2 that we've been talking about, so I'm ready for the games to start. I need a win.
Yeah, I mean it's tough. It's tough to play 2 games the first week and then come back and play 1 game.
Oh yeah.
You can't make up the ground that you've lost in the previous week.
Exactly. It's a rough first week to go into, and you're just like, it's funny when I looked at the so Thursday night, I'm looking at the matchup, and I was, the game started, so I was trying to see if he had any players playing on the Steelers side. And then, I'm like scrolling down, like, where's the other game? It's like, oh, yeah, that's right. We only have 1 this week, because that was just so hard last week to have to watch 2 games and watch. You hope one team does, maybe doesn't. I think both teams played definitely better than I thought they would. But I played so bad, it didn't matter. But yeah, it was rough.
Yeah, week 3 again, we get a doubleheader.
Yeah.
And I really need to perform playing against the Cardinals and 49ers, two of the top 3 teams in the NFC.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another reason, we all got to win this week too. I mean, especially 0-2, 1-1, because next week it's like disaster. It's right.
It could turn into a 1-4 real quick.
Yep.
Well, hey, Dustin, I appreciate you calling in.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'll just mute myself.
All righty.
Sounds good. Good luck this week.
Yeah, thank you too.
Hey, I would be remiss if I were not to give the commish a bit of a hard time for his week 1. I remember after Thursday night, he had C.J. Anderson scored something like 41 points, and I'm thinking, wow, Commish is ready to roll this week. He's ready to start off 2-0, and I think he ended up with about as many, like 230, 220-something points.
Yeah.
After I saw those, like, whoa, that's when you might be in trouble.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a team that I haven't felt like was ready to compete yet either. So after the start Thursday night, I was kind of that way too. But I think they really showed how they're gonna perform most this year.
Yeah, and like this week, I think the big one is Forte. He scored, I think, 40-something points. Maybe it's 30-something points, but. If you've got him, you're like ready. I'm ready to go, and hopefully they can carry that into a win this week.
and that is the Cardinals playing the Rams. I'm so surprised about this Rams team being 0-2. I thought they were right up there with Dallas as the best team in the NFC. You know, they kind of put all their chips into paying huge contracts for the elite players, not having much backup options. So it's going to be really interesting, especially he's already 0-2. Bye weeks haven't set in. You know he's going to lose some on these bye weeks. He just doesn't have the depth that is required in this league. So I really look forward to watching this game today.
I would be willing to bet he makes a trade to get some of that depth. He's the leader in trades in the NFC.
Yeah, no, I hear on that.
All right, what do you want to? Let's see, what time is it? Inactives list isn't out yet, is it?
Yeah, it's just going to start coming out. So I was going to throw a couple out as I kind of see some things. But, I've heard Charles likely won't play. It looks like Wheaton won't play. But I haven't seen too many other kind of new things popping up. I don't know if you've seen anything.
Not yet. I haven't. Why don't we start with your Sean's top 5 sleepers for this week? You want to get into that segment?
Sure. So I may not have about 5, but I definitely got some players out there. Last week I talked about Eli Rogers from the Steelers, and he's looking potentially like a lot of people are talking about him, potentially kind of being the number 2 this year. Certainly Wheaton's going to come back, but he's always inconsistent. Coach is inconsistent. Catch a big pass, and the next thing you know, he's dropping something else. So. Luckily he's on my team. I need some bonus offensive players on my team. I'm not starting him this week because I got to go with Freeman on the running back side. Emmanuel Sanders, I think he's going to get a ton of looks today with DT looking kind of banged up, obviously the hip thing. So Eli is my big play. So I think Green Bay might have him on your side. One of the things I want to look at was some of the a dud, and I got to throw out my my friend out there, Rinku, my favorite, as I called him, my favorite guest of all time for the XFF. He's got a lot to say and a lot of good things, a lot of really bright things to say about. Give us some insight on what's going on, but he on the waiver side he picked up Stephen Clendon. He had a great week 1, but he was in there for Sheldon Richardson, who was suspended for 1 game. I don't know if Rinku realized that because he started him on Thursday, and he came up with a big 0. Now, I would have expected him to get some playing time and get a few points, but unfortunately, he rang up a big 0. Sorry, Rinku. I guess you didn't know that. I know that's got to be rough. I think the other side, there's a couple guys we've talked about. Simon from Texans as a potential play. I said earlier he had a big snap count in week 1 with or without Cushing in there. And then there's some of these kind of looking at some of these waiver guys. Nelson from the Chiefs, he's the other cornerback there. Wasn't a high pick. I thought it might have been a 5th round pick with the Chiefs. But he looked really good. I mean, I know you and I have him, Adam, and I don't think either of us are starting him necessarly. But
actually, I am starting him this week.
Oh, you are? Okay. I
Yeah.
mean, he had so many tackles in that game. I mean, obviously, I don't know, if a bunch of them might have happened on those drives at the end that the Chargers had to come back. But, it's interesting to see. Some of these waivers, you just never know what you're going to get. I do think Simon and Nelson will have some quality games this week, at least, respectable, at least 10 points plus. So those are kind of the ones I'm looking at on the positive side. I think, on the negative side, I didn't see, there's a couple of players I was looking at that, were playing for injured guys and they'll continue to play. So I'm not really too worried I don't necessarily have any duds necessarily to call out here unless you guys are thinking about anything. But, I think pretty solid what people played. I think there's just more or less, there was a lot of guys that we had on the bench that outplayed some starters that just weren't quite, to the level that we expected in week 1. So looking for a turnaround in week 2 for sure.
Yeah, I guess I'll touch on that a little bit. I do not like Who the hell is San Francisco's running back?
Oh, you don't Hyde for this week against the Panthers?
Hyde against Carolina? No, I'm
Yeah.
staying away from that.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think
Denver ran the ball pretty well. We got to, it's about the offensive line for the Niners, I guess, more than anything else. But
yeah.
if they get down, it's going to be it's going to be tough for sure.
Yeah, Hyde is somebody I'm not too high on. Let's see. Obviously, the Colts are going to have a rough sledding against that Denver D.
Yeah.
Um,
And the Colts D is not all that great, so it'll probably make it easier on the Denver offense and Simeon. So
what about
that'll make it
What about Gurley against that Seattle D? I mean, it could be very likely that the Rams put up 0 points for the second week in a row.
Yeah, you kind of feel like he could be a sit-em for this week. You can't sit him, but he's like one of those. You're like just for me with Devontae Freeman, I'm like, he's going against the Raiders, so I feel pretty good about that from a being able to move the ball perspective. But it's we got to start our best guys, but those are some matchups that look good. Haven't worked out before, but yeah, I agree. I think the Gurley matchup is a lot of eyes will be watching that one.
Yeah, I want to throw out there real quick too. Cam Newton, he's a guy I had as a potential sit this week. Philly John has him. I know it would be awful tough to sit Cam, but he has Alex Smith as his other quarterback, and he actually outperformed Cam last week. Cam's coming off that possible concussion, playing against a pretty good, at least in week one, a pretty good defense in the 49ers. That would be I would probably start Smith instead of Newton this week.
Okay, that'll be fun to talk about later for sure.
All right. Did you get that list of inactives?
Oh, not yet. Okay, we got Wheaton is inactive. Doesn't necessarily mean Rodgers is going to get more work. He's probably going to get the same. Just means Coates will be in there.
They're saying Bradford will start for the Vikings. I know AP had a horrible game last week, in part because they had 8 in the box every damn play. Kind of like the Gurley situation. They have no offense other than the running back. So that'll be interesting to see if Bradford really knows enough of that offense to open things up for AP.
Yeah. Yeah, and we know Ivory's out this week, that mystery illness. I think we all knew Eifert was out. And Zach Ertz is out for Monday Night Football, so we don't have to wait around to see if he's going to play. Those we kind of knew going into today. Looks like Foster's a go from what we've seen, unless something goes wrong in pregame warm-ups. We knew Charles is out. It looks like Devontae Parker might play. Not official, but it looks like he's got a chance. ESPN's reporting that.
Gronk is also out, correct?
Yep, that's correct too. Yep, that's a biggie. He is definitely out. And then it sounds like the Seattle running backs will be splitting, but Rawls is going to start. I think they kind of gave – it sounds like they alluded to giving Christine Michael a bit of a, hey, you worked so hard, you get to start for the first game, even though Rawls was kind of, could have started. But I think Rawls is the guy there. We'll see what the split carries look like.
And that's a tough. Oh, go ahead.
So you have the other Seattle running back, Michael, on your team, right?
Yes, I do. I'll say that's a tough one for me.
Yeah.
I think I had him in there before we did our show here. I'm gonna go back through and double check my. I knew he's probably gonna get about 10 to 12 touches. I'm thinking.
Yeah.
and against that awful
the
Rams defense,
they're better than they look.
I know they
think.
are, but
It was more
good
the
Lord.
offense couldn't move the ball. It was just the offense kept making them go back on the field was a big piece. I mean, we'll see, but that's my hunch to a certain extent. Who'd be your next guy if you were gonna?
Let's see here. Oh, Cowboys and Raiders are going at it on the chat board here. Yeah, I got Christine Michael, Jonathan Stewart, Spencer Ware, Travis Benjamin, who's now the number one option in San Diego, Emmanuel Sanders this week.
You got
If I am
Absolutely.
if I am to bench Christine, I don't think I can still play Frank Gore against that Denver D. And what's going on with Arian Foster? Is he out or?
I heard he's playing. It's not official, but everything I was hearing up till now is that he's playing.
See, I was kind of hoping he was going to sit out because I had both the other Miami running backs. So, if I am to bench C Mike, I can go with Dwayne Allen, who I think would probably be one of the better Colts players against that Denver D. Anquan Bolden against Tennessee, I think I could see him having a decent game. So yeah, I really don't know. I think I'm gonna have to play C Mike.
Oh, okay.
I am starting John Simon though. My linebacking core sucks. I'm gonna see what the guy's made of. See if we can get up to 100%, and hopefully he can help me out here this week.
That makes sense.
You got anything to add there, old man?
No, not really. No.
You thinking about any sleepers or duds or?
I kind of when I touched on Cam Newton, that was kind of who I thought might possibly be a dud. I think C.J. Anderson will probably have a pretty good week against the Colts. But yeah, those are the only two I've really looked at.
All right. And then we touched a little bit on the who's in and who's out, along with viable backup options, I guess you would say. It's only week 2, so there's not going to be too many inactives. Kind of the same people that were inactive week 1 from injuries in the preseason.
Yeah, I just got breaking news from Sultan Stat on ESPN. Buck Allen's inactive again. So it looks like it'll be Forsett and West sharing carries. So probably same as last week. And then Ajayi from Dolphins. He's actually going to play today. He wasn't left behind like last week. There's a lot of talk about that. And we talked about Gronk. Yeah, so nothing new. Oh, it does say Devontae Parker is officially active for the Dolphins, per Sultan Stat from ESPN. So that is good news for those owners. I don't know if I would start him. I probably would not start him. But wait and see how he does. Who knows if he'll be able to play the whole game, but we'll see.
Who are the Dolphins playing this week? Patriots.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of opportunity to throw the ball for sure if they get down.
Yeah.
So one pass and he's gone. Potentially.
All right. Why don't we get into predictions? We'll start with the XFF side. I'll just go down and read the games on the week, and you can give your little tidbit if you want. First game of the week is going to be Denver Broncos at the Oakland Raiders.
Yeah, I don't think there's much of a question there. That's going to be Denver.
Yeah, after that McClendon 0, you can't recover from that against the Broncos. You gotta have everybody in the. You've got to have a perfect game going.
And the Packers did the same thing against me. He picked up McClendon and played him. Really, I'm definitely going Broncos, no question.
Yeah.
Best team in the XFF, but I'm really surprised at this trade. Oakland gave away Carson Palmer and Darian Thompson this morning for D'Angelo, who only has a week left to play before he's not the starter anymore. Then Blaine Gabbert. So I'm really not liking that trade for Oakland.
Yeah, it's really a it's really a play that is Le'Veon Bell going to be able to make it through the season. I don't think it's a trade you need to do personally, but it'll be another trade that'll be interesting to watch as we go throughout the season.
Game 2 of the week is going to be the Kansas City Chiefs at the San Diego Chargers.
Yeah, I like the Chargers in this one. It's pretty evenly matched, but looking at that Chargers roster, they've got Antonio Brown and Big Ben Roethlisberger, Latavius Murray, if he's able to get the majority of the carries, which he should. They're not too strong on defense, but I'm going with the Chargers.
Yeah, it looks like you got off to a little bit of a slowish start with a couple of the starters getting under 8 points. But I agree. I think the Chargers would definitely favor in this game.
Yeah, we'll make that 3. I'm also going on the Chargers. Houston Texans at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Both of these teams are 0-2, I believe.
Yeah, I think. What do you guys think? That's an interesting one.
I would say Jacksonville.
Yeah. They got off to a relatively decent start. Jets scored 20 points, offensive line. That's, double what I don't expect from an offensive line, on a given week. So a little bit of a mixed bag, but yeah, I think he's also well on his way to have a good week.
Hey, the offensive line can definitely win it for you. The old man beat my ass by 3 points because his fucking offensive line.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Hey,
well,
no.
Hunter too.
Hey.
Yeah, well, I had the kicker. I had Boswell with that 2 minutes when they scored. Instead of running up the fucking score, kick the damn field goal and I win. Son of a bitch.
Oh man, I was telling the story last week about I hadn't really paid attention to punter points, like how do they get them, and the kicker kicked like 150-yard punt, and I'm like 8 points, like how many points is he gonna be able to score? So I go look it up, and it's all about the average. But I had the Ravens punter, and he had to kick a short one, like a 20-yarder, so he ended up with like 4 points, and his average couldn't recover from that, and I'm like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really just luck. But it makes it interesting.
Yeah, somebody talked about, I think on the show on Wednesday. I think it was the I can't remember the name of the show. The Chiefs and
Unsportsmanlike conduct.
Yeah, unsportsmanlike conduct. So they were talking about whoever picked up the Rams punter, he scored like 15 points because he had like 10 punts, which is like 5 points by itself. Plus he had plenty of field to kick it by. It was just like, dang, there's some reverse way of thinking on some of these.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
So, Adam, who is your pick in that Jacksonville, Houston?
You know what? I'm going to take the veteran, Big Al.
Big Al.
We're going to go, let's see, Tennessee Titans at the Indianapolis Colts. It's a big one here.
Yeah. This is a really good matchup. This is definitely a good matchup. I think the Titans are going to eke this one out, but it's going to be close. It is going to be close.
Well, I'm going to go with the Colts on this. Titans, let's see, Matthew Stafford, quarterback. They've got Hyde, running back. We already kind of touched on him. Larry Fitzgerald. Those were their top offensive scorers. Cornerback Darby scored pretty good for them. I think they overperformed. I think it's going to be the Colts.
Yeah, I think on the Colts side, I was kind of looking at from what is Cam going to do? I think he's going to score. He's going to be solid on the point side of it. But, the Niners, the defense looked a lot better. So we'll see how that goes. But no, I hear you. It's going to be a toss-up for sure.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the Colts going to 3-0. Next on the list is going to be New York Jets at 2-0 Miami Dolphins. Miami's starting off with a bang with Thursday Night Football, almost 100 points already.
Yeah, that one is tough to recover when Miami's throwing out Matt Forte and his big number. So, yeah, that could be the difference right now in that game. The Dolphins are going to take this one.
Dolphins for me.
Agreed. Dolphins bring it home. Next on the list is going to be Buffalo Bills at the New England Patriots.
Yeah, that's a tough matchup. What do you guys think?
I've got to go with Buffalo Bills. I just don't think the Patriots are a very good team. I don't see them getting 4 wins this year. I don't think one of them's going to be against Buffalo today.
And he agrees with Matt of the Colts, saying that BA is the worst owner in XFF.
I didn't quite say that, but his team's not very good.
Well,
yeah,
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, yeah, I mean, I agree on the Bills side. I think, Luck and Anderson are potentially big games today, even if it means having to come back, on the Luck side of it. So, yeah, I think they're going to carry the Bills, and the Bills they've got some nice depth across the board. Had some guys who didn't play as well last week, but I expect them to take this one pretty easily.
Yeah, I think the Bills bring it home. 49ers at the Seahawks.
This should be a pretty good one too. And Seahawks are favored, but I'm going to go with the 49ers on this one.
What do you think, Adam?
I'm definitely going 49ers. I don't know how XFF site figures out these lines, if you want to call them that. Every week they come out.
I think it's just the difference in points scored in previous weeks.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think it's a bunch of crock of shit. I don't pay too much attention to that, but I'm definitely going 49ers.
Yeah, me too. It definitely looks like 49ers. Antonio Brown. They got some studs out there. He's got Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, the Niners are in good shape right now.
Cardinals at the Rams. Rams looking to not go 0-3, but they did not start off very good with Forte playing for the Cardinals. I'm going to say, the Cardinals put the Rams in a hole. Cardinals win this week.
Yeah, I agree. I've not been a big fan of the Rams team. I think they're middle of the road at best, and Arizona's proven to be one of the top teams. I'm going with Arizona.
Yeah, I got to go with Arizona. If Forte scored like 15 points, I probably would be saying the Rams. I think they're going to come back this week. They still have a chance to get some big games though, but I think it'll be close, but I think the Cardinals are going to win this one.
Next on the list, lowly Falcons against the New Orleans Saints. Falcons are going to go 0-3. Man, this guy can't do anything to improve this team. You got to pull some trades. You got to do something. You're always at the bottom. Saints is going without Le'Veon Bell, and I think he has no problem sweeping you this week. I'm going to pick Saint Nick.
Saint Nick.
Yeah, I agree. Pretty much with everything you said. I take the Saints too.
I agree. It's an easy call, Saints.
Dustin with the Carolina Panthers takes on Jason with the Bucks. Bucks a surprise team last week. What do you got this week?
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. I don't know what are the Panthers? Are they 2-0?
I believe they're
Yeah,
1-1. I think.
yeah. Both Bucks are 2-0, Panthers are 1-1. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the Panthers in this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Panthers as well. They had a nice start. I mean, Watkins didn't score a whole lot of points, but take his two offensive guys together, they're in a good spot to get things started. But I think overall they definitely, the defensive side, they had some good depth here going. So, yeah, I got to go with the Panthers.
I agree. Although I love Quan Alexander on that Bucks team.
Oh,
That guy's
yeah.
going to be the best linebacker in the league this year. He came out and said he kind of just got lucky with the pick. He stockpiles these draft picks, and he has like 20 picks every year, which can help with success of randomly picking a player like Quan. But like I said, I stole a line from the old man. I'd give my firstborn up for him.
I do think that the Buck linebackers might kind of steal from each other, but we'll see how it all plays out. But I think they're both going to be fine. And Quan that was an awesome game.
All right, Ravens, your team. They're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'll start off with that. I'll start off with that one. Steelers actually scored over 300 points last week. I kind of think that was a fluke. You're gonna rebound. I have you with about a 40-point win over Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going with the Ravens. The Steelers have the Rams punter we're talking about, scored 16 points last week. He doesn't have a whole lot else. Mohamed Sanu, Doug Martin. But, I go with the Ravens also.
Yeah, I didn't get off to as good a start. I was hoping for Thursday. I was hoping to have 30 points right now. But, I don't think it'll be a 40-point win. I think it'll be, it's going to be close, probably within 10. But yeah, I'm hoping my team plays well. I got some tough matchups individual in some of the games, so I'm going with my team, the Ravens.
All right, we're going to move on to Browns at Bengals.
So this is interesting because I played both these teams last week. And it was interesting. I thought one team was better than the other, and then they keep coming back on each other. I got to go with the Browns this week, especially after getting Palmer. So he's got a legit quarterback going right now. Certainly losing D'Angelo is going to be tough, but he's got depth though that he can. He's not going to have a problem with that. So I got to go with Browns this week.
Yeah, I haven't really looked at his team a whole lot this year. Looking at it now, his running back situation is pretty good. But I'm going to go with the Bengals.
I'm also going to take the Browns. Moving on to the Lions at the Vikings. Vikings jumping out to a 45-point lead with Thursday Night Football.
Yeah. The Lions didn't have anybody playing that night, so I'm not real concerned about that. I think I messaged you earlier in the week telling you that I thought this should be a victory. I'm not as confident now. It's really, I think, going to depend on my linebackers. They weren't very good last week. Hopefully, they're better today. Going with the 3 run back set, I think that'll help my team out. So I think it's going to be close, but I think Detroit's going to eke out a win, maybe less than 5 points.
For me, I hate to say this, I think I thought it was going to be close, but after seeing, I feel like the Vikings have in my mind, at least a 15-point kind of advantage after the games on Thursday when I think about, what to expect from some of those players. So I think that might be the difference. The play from Preston Brown might be the difference at the end of the day. So I'm going with the Vikings on this one, but it is going to be close.
Yeah, it's a tough one for me. I think I'm gonna also go with the Vikings. Next,
I don't necessarily disagree. I just didn't want to throw my own team under the bus.
Yeah, you can't. And next on the list is the Packers and Bears, and I'm gonna whoop that Packer ass.
Yeah, just like the graphic you put up last night, I do think the Bears are going to piss all over the Packers today.
I think the Packers have some tough decisions on who to start after the first week. But yeah, I think the Bears are going to take this one. Sorry, Jason.
Giants at Cowboys. Surprise 2-0 team there in the Giants. They're already leading after Thursday Night Football. Who do you got in that one?
Yeah, I'm not a believer in the Giants yet. I'm going to take the Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Cowboys as well. I think Thursday night was, maybe there's a little advantage from the Cowboys, a little bit got a big game from Decker, but I think the Cowboys are gonna win. I think it's going to be a good matchup, though. It'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, Cowboys aren't looking as strong as I thought they would. Kind of struggling there at the running back position, which was what I thought their strongest suit was. Especially with Freeman's role up in the air. I'd definitely taken Cowboys this week, but it's going to be interesting going forward to see how that division plays out. And the last game of the week is Philly John's Eagles taking on the Comish's Redskins.
Oh, this is my favorite matchup. This is going to be fun. I got to go with Philly John here. He's got the team that's gonna beat the Commish this week. Sorry, Commish, we still love you.
Yeah, I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna say the Redskins. I think Kirk Cousins has a favorable matchup this week. I've already touched on C.J. Anderson against the Colts. He's got Julio Jones. I think they're gonna pull off the surprise and beat the Eagles.
I actually got Philly John winning this thing. I'm not a fan of that Redskins team, but it'll be interesting to see after this week what happens. I mean, what does he do with that team going forward? No salary cap, no draft picks next year, really.
I'm really curious to see who the Redskins are starting on offense. The quarterback is obvious. But I'm very curious to see where he goes, with his fourth and fifth guys on offense. That'll be interesting to see because that might be the difference for him.
Yeah.
That's a very good point.
We're about out of time. Do you want to run through the NFL predictions or you want to close her up for the day?
We probably should. Maybe we can close it up. I think that might be good, unless you guys have any big notes there you want to talk about.
No, what about just real quick, I want to touch on a couple of surprise football games last night. Oklahoma got stomped. Alabama squeaked out a win. My Irish got manhandled. You got any other ones to add to that list?
I don't. I went with Ohio State last night. So, yeah, I was happy with that outcome, even though I'm not a fan. So, yeah, I don't think there was really many surprises yesterday.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
No,
I bet on Appalachian State to they were 4-point underdogs to Miami. Lost that one definitely. Let's see, I bet on Penn State to cover. They were 8 points. They only scored 7, so I lost that one. But I came back and rebounded with Stanford covered, Ohio State covered. So I'm ready to look at today's NFL matchups and get back in the right direction.
Hey, congratulations on your win on Thursday night. picking the Jets in the over. I was a little worried about the over until obviously the first quarter happened. But that was nice. That was a nice win there.
Thank you, thank you.
It was like would you win it in like the beginning of the third quarter probably?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously the Jets
Yeah, that
had
was
to
a
win too, but to take it both sides. But
yeah. And I usually like to do that. I bet on multiple, not as high dollar, but multiple games gives me a better percentage.
yeah, definitely.
So yeah, well, hey, that wraps up our week 2 Flick and MacHugh countdown show. It was fun. We look forward to next week. We're going to be on here every Sunday. As long as our schedules work out with that.
Yep.
So
Great. Thanks all.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. It was a lot of fun.
All right, we'll see y'all next week.
good luck to all except for the Packers. Bear down.